Welcome to the session, 3Squares Vermont and WIC, Opportunities for Cross-Program Outreach, which will run from 10:15 to 11:30 this morning. I'm Ivy Enoch. I'm a Hunger Free Vermont Food Security Specialist, and I will be your host for this session. So this is what our agenda looks like for the day. We're going to go into just a brief group conduct, and then I will show a welcome and land acknowledgement from our executive director, and move into introductions, and then I will hand the floor over to our WIC partners. All right, and so I'm sure this is familiar to many of you if you've attended other sessions, but we just ask that all folks mute their audio during the session to avoid distractions. We welcome everyone to introduce themselves in the chat with your name, if you're affiliated with an organization, and your title. And this will allow all of us to kind of know who's in the room with us, as well as help us keep track of attendance. You can submit your questions in the chat during the session. However, we will be taking questions at the end. And finally, we just ask that you join with grace and humor in this virtual world. We know technology can be adventurous, and so we thank you for your patience. And I'm now going to show a video from our executive director, Honora Horton.
Hello. On behalf of everyone at Hunger Free Vermont, welcome to the 2020 3Squares Vermont Outreach and Policy Conference. We really wish we could all be with you in person today, but let's be connected anyway from wherever we are in Vermont. I don't have to tell you that this is a time of crisis. 1 in 4 Vermonters are experiencing hunger and food insecurity during this pandemic. People of color are 4 times as likely as white people to be experiencing hunger in Vermont right now. Women are twice as likely to be experiencing hunger as are men. And households with young children are also twice as likely to be experiencing hunger in Vermont right now than households without young children. We're all here today because we're committed to reducing the suffering and harm of hunger. We're looking ahead to what we know is going to be a really tough winter. And we know that when all the food box and restaurant meal programs have expired, 3Squares Vermont is the stable foundation of food security for so many people in our state. It is a true privilege to be engaged in this work with you. Know that Hunger Free Vermont is here to support you and to fight like hell to expand and protect and defend the federal nutrition programs that serve so many. Even though we're not all physically together in one place today, we are all on unceded land stewarded by the Abenaki peoples for thousands of years. Let's honor that truth by using what we learn here today to respectfully serve all the peoples of Vermont, and to work to end not just hunger, but the systemic injustices that cause hunger. Thank you for the profound difference you make, and may you be well.
It is now my distinct pleasure to turn the reins over to our WIC partners at the Vermont Department of Health, Serena and Jackie. We're going to do a little screen share dance here, and so just thank you in advance for your patience. All right, Serena, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear?
Yes.
All right. Is my screen looking good? Okay, great. Thanks, Ivy. Thanks to everyone for joining our session this morning. 3Squares Vermont and WIC, Opportunities for Cross-Program Outreach. I'm Serena, and I'll be presenting, and then afterward, Jackie and I will take questions. So with that, I'll get started. So participating in WIC can increase food security for 3Squares Vermont families with young children during critical years for growth and development. And as in our current situation during health emergencies like COVID-19. Understanding what's involved for continued WIC participation can help ensure families stay active as long as they are eligible. To that end, our objectives for this session are to provide background on the purpose of WIC through our mission and vision, to share ways to partner with WIC and why collaboration with community partners is best for families, including the benefits of participating in 3Squares Vermont and WIC, and also to learn about changes that we've made to our WIC operations due to COVID-19. So what does WIC do? To start us off, I thought it would be nice to share a video from one of our WIC families. I think, can you hear the video?
I have 2 kids. Katie May is 5.5 and Ransom is 3.5. Yes. So one struggle that I've had as a mom is my kids being picky eaters about certain things. So WIC has helped because it's given me some ideas of different ways that we can incorporate foods to get those good, healthy fruits and veggies into their diet.
Do you need a door on there?
We are a single income family. So just to have those extra funds for your shopping, it expands our food budget a little bit more each month.
Should we take out the cinders?
One of my favorite things about WIC is honestly going into the office. All of the staff are just really affirming and validating of like how you're doing as a parent, and everyone there is wonderful with the kids. They love going, there's fun toys, and they're very patient with us.
It's pretty heavy.
I'm really glad that we started WIC right when the kids were born, because those are the times, these young years are just the foundational years where they're building habits, where their brain is developing. And so the WIC benefits are things that are setting them up for healthy development and just healthy, happy lives.
Okay, so beginning with our first objective, we'll review WIC's mission. So the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, also known as WIC, is a federal nutrition program that is part of the USDA Food and Nutrition Services branch. WIC provides 4 core services, which are also referred to as the 4 pillars of WIC. These services include healthy foods, nutrition education, breastfeeding support, and referrals to health and social services, all of which enable us to achieve WIC's mission, which is to assure healthy pregnancies, healthy birth outcomes, and healthy growth and development for women, infants, and children up to age 5 who are at nutrition risk by providing nutritious foods to supplement diets, information, and education on healthy eating, and referrals to healthcare and critical social services. WIC provides nutrition education, breastfeeding support, healthy food, health referrals, and other services free of charge to Vermont families who qualify. WIC is for all families, married and single parents, working or not working. If you're a father, mother, grandparent, foster parent, or other legal guardian of a child under 5, you can apply for WIC. You can participate in Vermont WIC if you live in Vermont, if you have a family income less than WIC guidelines, which is 185% of the federal poverty level, if you currently participate in Medicaid, 3Squares Vermont, or Reach Up, and are pregnant or breastfeeding, or have a child younger than 5, excuse me, WIC is also for dads, grandparents, and foster parents for the kids under the age of 5 they care for. WIC is our country's most successful public health nutrition program. 8 million women, infants, and children participate in WIC nationwide. WIC provides wholesome food, nutrition education, and community support to income-eligible pregnant women, moms of infants and children up to 5 years old. Vermont WIC's average monthly caseload for federal fiscal year 2019 was 11,320. Our caseload has declined recently due to a variety of factors, including a lower overall birth rate, steady economy, which is pre-COVID, and also in part due to our transition from home delivery to EBT. The national WIC caseload has declined as well for the same reasons. Next, I'll go through each of WIC's core nutrition services. Nutrition education has always been a cornerstone of WIC and is provided through personalized nutrition counseling, online nutrition resources, and monthly in-person or online classes on a variety of topics. Breastfeeding support helps moms meet their breastfeeding goals by connecting parents to breastfeeding peer counselors, breastfeeding classes, and support groups, as well as other helpful resources. Currently, 35% of pregnant women in Vermont access WIC for healthy food, nutrition education, and breastfeeding support. Breastfeeding rates have risen dramatically over the last 20 years. The WIC Infant and Toddler Feeding Practices Study found that in 2013, the breastfeeding initiation rate was 83%, a 48% increase from the 56% who reported initiating breastfeeding in the original study conducted in 1994 to 1995. The percentage of women on WIC breastfeeding at 1 month postpartum has increased to 85%. From 3 months to 12 months postpartum, the breastfeeding rates have more than doubled since the first study. This is a little bit outdated, but in 2016, 45% of infants were either fully or partially breastfed in Vermont. Referrals to community resources connect families to prenatal or pediatric care, dental care, immunization, and social services programs such as SNAP. WIC provides monthly food benefits to buy nutritious foods such as cheese and milk, whole grains, beans, and fresh fruits and vegetables at the grocery store with an EBT card similar to 3Squares Vermont. WIC families can also participate in the Farm to Family coupon program and receive up to $60 in coupons to purchase fresh produce from authorized farmers markets on a first-come, first-served basis. WIC partners with DCF, who administers this program. WIC services and benefits ensure that children get a strong, healthy start in life. There's clear evidence that good nutrition during pregnancy and in the first few years of life has long-term positive impacts on health. Extensive research on the WIC program continues to show that participation leads to healthier babies, more nutritious diets, and better health care for children, and higher academic achievement for students. WIC supports sound nutrition during critical periods of cognitive development to mitigate the harmful effects of poverty. New research shows that children whose mothers participated in WIC while pregnant scored higher on assessments of mental development at age 2 than similar children whose mothers did not participate. Additionally, participating in WIC substantially reduces the risk of adverse birth outcomes and reduces the risk of infant mortality. WIC promotes breastfeeding as the optimal feeding choice and supports mothers throughout their breastfeeding journey by providing prenatal education, early postpartum support, and peer counseling. Next, we'll share how we work with community partners and why collaboration is best for families, and particularly the benefits of participating in 3Squares Vermont and WIC. In your work, do you refer families to WIC? Referrals are a two-way street. Word of mouth has always been our best advertisement, and working with community partners to problem solve access to WIC helps families get benefits. WIC requires that we screen everyone for 3Squares and immunization status. We work with visiting nurses who are critical to families during pregnancy and early postpartum. And we also refer participants to services like 211, Help Me Grow, and CIS, who can help families that have developmental concerns. Here's a quote from a participant that signifies the importance of WIC collaborations with community partners. You know, WIC is an amazing program, and it was so helpful with our grocery budget. I didn't feel judged even once about needing financial help. It always just felt like you all were happy to see us. Additionally, I'd like to especially appreciate the dental health professional. My 19-month-old daughter is obsessed with toothbrushing. We brush all the time, and I'm not sure I would have been able to get her so excited about her teeth on my own. So WIC in Vermont is administered by the Department of Health. WIC nutrition services are available throughout the state at our 12 local health offices and many smaller WIC clinic sites. To apply, families schedule an appointment through their local health department office for an in-person visit. New families are welcome anytime. Categorically eligible women, infants, and children who participate in Dr. Dinosaur, Medicaid, Reach Up, or 3Squares Vermont are automatically income eligible for WIC. Any child under 5 years old in Vermont state custody is also eligible for WIC services. Families meet with WIC nutrition staff who will review and document income, identification, and proof of residency, review our program rules and participant rights and responsibilities, weigh and measure each family member applying, and screen for anemia. We offer a sensory test for anemia screening, which does not include the finger stick or blood for ages 2 and up. Families talk with our nutrition staff about their nutrition interests and goals, and learn about nutrition resources and receive food benefits along with the eWIC card or the EBT card and shopping information. We also connect families with other health and community services. WIC services are provided at the 12 local health offices and about 50 outlying clinic sites around the state. We also have 2 co-located sites, which we refer to as WIC in the medical home. Health department staff are available to share updates about the WIC program with community partners. Meeting with each other on a regular basis can help develop relationships that support successful referrals. If you'd like to receive outreach materials such as rack cards, posters, or to have a conversation with local WIC staff, you can contact your Vermont Department of Health local health district office. A couple of years ago, we created this journey map, which is a nice illustration of what it looks like for a family that fully participates in WIC to move through the program. The first step, of course, is joining WIC, coming to a clinic appointment, ideally in the first trimester of pregnancy, being certified, and issued food benefits. Next, we're going over shopping for WIC foods, preparing meals, and then nutrition education, and continuing to cycle through these steps routinely until age 5, when children graduate from the WIC program. In addition to the services our participants receive, WIC also positively impacts local communities in a variety of ways. WIC brings money into local economies with over 47,000 grocer retailers in the US and 106 in Vermont. We bring healthy food to local communities. We support local farmers and help foster community partnerships that improve access to healthy food and ensure that local health and social service networks are strong and efficient. WIC benefits are for specific food items and are not monetary, except for the fruit and vegetable benefit. WIC foods offer specific nutrients to support growth and development for each participant type. Our data shows that only about 33% of WIC families have 3Squares, though we have seen a 10% increase in dual participation over the last couple of years. Nutrition support programs such as WIC and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, aim to help lower income families, but we know some low income families still lack adequate nutrition. By enrolling in both programs, families can save an extra $60 per month on nutritious foods. Next, we'll take a look at WIC food packages. Each WIC participant in a family has their own food package, which is tailored to the category of participant, which are pregnant, postpartum, breastfeeding, infants, and children. These images show examples of the types of foods provided in some of the WIC food packages, including on the left, the food benefits for fully breastfeeding moms, and on the right, the food package for children 2 to 5 years old. Vermont WIC participants get monthly food benefits loaded onto an EBT card. WIC prescribes only WIC-approved foods that can help stretch the family food budget at the local grocery store. WIC food packages are designed to provide specific nutrients that promote adequate growth and development and are aligned with the dietary guidelines for Americans. We hope that providing some of these healthy foods on a regular basis, WIC can help lead families down a path to healthier food choices. A standard child food package provides foods that are worth about $60. If 2 children are eligible, the family food package is about $120 a month value. Only eligible participants receive benefits. So older children, women who are not pregnant, postpartum, or breastfeeding, and men do not qualify for the food benefits. The amount received is dependent on who is eligible in the family and not the total size of the household. And since each food prescribed delivers specific nutrients, we cannot substitute less of something for more of something else. WIC nutrition staff share tips on how to shop and prepare WIC foods. WIC also offers a variety of options to choose from within a food category, and we can tailor food packages to individuals with more specific diets, although it can be challenging to accommodate some dietary needs, such as vegan diets. In addition to the monthly food benefit, as mentioned before, every summer WIC offers farm to family market coupons to families, which is a maximum of $60 additional benefit per family. WIC is a nutrition program rather than a food security program, and that's why the foods are so specific. We publish a WIC Foods Guide every 2 years and a supplemental insert every other year for updates on new foods added to our approved products list. We know shopping for WIC foods can be complicated, so the guide clearly outlines which brands, products, and sizes are approved and what is not. In addition to the food guide, participants can also download a WIC Shopper app, which can be used to scan UPC codes in the grocery store to identify which foods are WIC approved. The app also contains recipes using WIC foods and other helpful shopping information. Some of our WIC grocery stores use shelf tags to let participants know which foods are WIC approved. And we've also created a series of videos for new participants to help them navigate their first few shopping experiences. When families are certified at their first appointment, they also receive this benefit list, which is specific to each individual participant's food package. Circled in red is 1 month's worth of food benefits. And you can see the list also indicates the food type and the quantities they can purchase for each month. Here's another quote that was shared by a Vermont WIC participant expressing their gratitude for the healthy foods WIC provided their family. "I didn't realize until we got WIC how much I was going without, always saving the last bit of milk or orange juice for the kids. Now there's enough for all of us, and it's a wonderful feeling. Thank you." We all have a shared goal of enhancing food security and improving health outcomes for low-income families. And our programs all play a role in providing continuity through program participation. For instance, WIC provides nutrient-dense staples for participants. The school meals program provides prepared meals in schools. Families can access fresh fruits and vegetables and prepared meals during the summer through the Farm to Family coupon and summer meals programs. And there are also community-specific short-term programs such as the Vermont Food Bank, local food shelves, Veggie Van Go, and VT Fresh. The overarching food resource here is 3Squares Vermont, which has the fewest limitations in terms of food options for participants. We do work to cross-refer eligible participants so families can participate in all programs. Sorry, I'm gonna go back for a minute. An additional benefit for families with school-age children is that SNAP or 3Squares participation means school-age children are automatically referred to child school nutrition programs for their children. Eligible children are referred for school meals at any time during the school year, not just at the beginning, though they need to reapply every year. There are opportunities to connect families to WIC through the 3Squares Vermont application. For families applying online, there is a link to the WIC online application, to WIC's online application, excuse me. And when families check WIC on the paper application, we receive notification and one of our WIC staff reach out to the family to get them enrolled. So what do we do when a family says, "I already have 3Squares Vermont and WIC, but it isn't enough"? As you probably know, Help Me Grow is a great resource to help with the bigger picture and family systems issues that could be impacting family food access. Referring families to organizations like Help Me Grow and Vermont 211 ensures they have access to other important community resources. Outreach consists of maximizing the visibility of the WIC program in both the general public, potentially eligible and professional communities in order to identify and serve those individuals most in need of program benefits. Outreach is an ongoing activity, although the focus of activities shifts dependent on caseload, resources, and FNS target areas in order to attract eligible families and participants. Referrals are a major component of outreach and consist of directing applicants and participants to social, health, and educational services for which specific needs are identified. Together, outreach and referral comprise of a network of services which maximize the resources available to individuals in need. Our current data shows that only about 33% of WIC families have 3Squares Vermont, even though our standard income guidelines are very similar. So we would expect higher enrollment. That said, we have seen about a 10% increase in dual participation over the last couple of years. And as mentioned previously, we know that WIC caseload is declining to a variety of factors. And this also mirrors the trend in national WIC enrollment. 40% of infants and 35% of children in Vermont participate in WIC. 31% of the infant child participants are less than 1 year old. 15% are 4 years old. So we are losing half of the children on WIC before they turn 5. Hopefully, as a result of more collaborations between community partners and retention strategies, we'll see these numbers increase. In terms of WIC efforts, we use social media. Our local offices conduct a variety of outreach activities, and we've created new resources to help with shopping for Vermont WIC foods. We have also increased our push for outreach in the last few years. WIC outreach activities include developing digital and print media, as well as posters and rack cards to support referrals to WIC from you. Nationally, WIC's outreach campaign has included digital ads, social media, print magazines, and direct email targeting moms and families. The campaign has also included direct mailing of WIC brochures to healthcare providers to give to patients. WIC caseload and coverage declines are complicated and require diverse solutions, including ones aimed at improving the WIC experience, improving WIC access, and improving WIC awareness, understanding, and perceptions. The National WIC Association supports local agencies through a national recruitment and retention campaign, which plays a crucial role in this last category of improving perceptions, awareness, and understanding of the WIC program. NWA's campaign is a powerful national effort with the following objectives: to increase enrollment of WIC eligible moms, increase positive perception of the WIC program, to create national brand recognition, and retain moms and children in the WIC program longer. There is targeted outreach to pregnant women in the first trimester, pregnant adolescents, and parents and caregivers of infants. In order to increase the early pregnancy intervention of the WIC program for pregnant women, outreach and activities focus on informing health, educational, and social service providers of program benefits and eligibility. Specific outreach to health, medical, and education professionals that emphasize the preventive aspects of the WIC program are distributed by both state and local agencies. And retention of child participants on the WIC program. Retention strategies for children are developed and aimed at the retention of older children, as participation levels drop dramatically after children turn 1 year old. The major goal is to retain children on the program until their 5th birthday through encouragement to parents on the importance of WIC nutrition services in promoting healthy growth and development of children. Campaign materials are available to local agencies. Materials again include posters, rack cards, and Facebook posts. We also target outreach to dads and other caregivers, and a WIC flyer was also developed for outreach to older Vermonters participating in the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. As we've seen, the number of children in foster care and kinship can continue to rise. Local agencies display outreach posters at public places frequented by potential WIC participants, such as community health centers, primary care centers, family planning clinics, prenatal clinics, and Department of Children and Family District offices. Posters are also displayed at other public places such as daycare centers and laundromats. Participant surveys indicate that a majority of participants learn of the WIC program from other participants, particularly friends and relatives. Therefore, local agency staff encourages participants to inform others about WIC program availability and benefits. Some of the ways in which we maintain caseload are to build relationships with all families, especially first-time participants. Develop and maintain partnerships with healthcare providers to increase enrollment and participation, including providing WIC materials in office waiting rooms, certifying WIC-eligible families during routine doctor visits, and develop and maintain partnership with school health staff and Head Start programs to increase enrollment and to coordinate nutrition education activities for recertification. Central and district offices employ a full-time vendor manager and grocery liaisons across the state to support the shopping experience for grocers and participants. We build and maintain close relationships with foster children to ensure that they remain active in the WIC program despite moving households, and utilize data from Medicaid, Vermont WIC Management Information System reports, and other data sources to identify gaps in enrollment and participation and to improve the WIC program for all participants. In state and national, we maintain social media presence to increase enrollment and participation and to reinforce positive perception of the WIC program. We've also created an online form for families to quickly begin their application process for WIC. This information will be received by WIC Central Office staff and forwarded to the appropriate local office for follow-up. Going back to the journey map for a moment, to help frame our thinking about supporting families to fully participate in WIC. Thinking about referrals to enroll in WIC, checking in to confirm enrollment, and continuing to refer routinely for children until age 5. Thinking back to our shared goal of enhancing food security, improving health outcomes for low-income families, and achieving continuity of program participation, can you all share some ideas you have related to connecting the families you see to WIC? If so, you can respond in the chat box. Maybe Jackie can, if we get any responses, Jackie could read them.
Sure, and just reiterate, Serena, what you would like them to type in.
Oh, just curious if any of you can share some ideas you have related to connecting families that you see to WIC.
So we have WIC outreach at summer meal sites. I would love to see more of this. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
I know that we do share the summer meal site information with our families, but I don't think that we actually attend those. So that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
When we can be back in person with everyone.
Yes. Okay. All right, and finally, we'll provide an overview of changes we've made to WIC operations due to COVID-19. Like SNAP, the WIC program operates under federal regulation, and operational changes can only be made with approval by the Food and Nutrition Services branch of the USDA. When COVID-19 hit, WIC was given the option to apply for several waivers that have enabled us to move to phone appointments with participants and to offer an expanded range of food items to increase access and avoid potential shortages. Our waivers are in place until 30 days after the national emergency declaration ends, which has been October 22nd, although we did recently hear that the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, will be extending the national declaration to January 21st, which means that as of now, our waivers will remain in place until February 20th, 2021. So that means that we will continue to provide remote phone appointments with our participants and to be able to offer that expanded food list. However, we're still planning for a safe return to clinic services in the event that waivers will expire before the pandemic has been contained or a vaccine is widely available. We did begin to see an uptick in participation and enrollment in the early stage of the pandemic. And we've worked with several community partners such as Hunger Free Vermont, Department of Children and Families, Head Start, Strong Families Vermont, and Front Porch Forum to reach out to families who may be newly eligible for WIC services to ensure they have as much support as possible during this uncertain time. Fortunately, the transition to phone appointments has gone well because we had just wrapped up a TeleWIC pilot project and district office staff had been trained and were beginning to use TeleWIC for some of our mid-certification appointments. This transition was key to keeping our staff and participants safe. Also in response to COVID and potential food shortages, WIC was granted waivers to allow more food options for participants. We created an expanded food list and alerted families to the changes through several communication channels. We put out a newsletter to our participants through Facebook posts, through our website, and also community partners. In May, the Vermont WIC program surveyed active WIC households for feedback on services during the COVID-19 emergency. The survey link was texted to 6,910 active WIC households who accept text messages. Approximately 94% of active households currently accept text messages. And it's a great way for us to send these surveys out. We get a really great response this way. So, and then a week after the first survey was texted out, it was sent again. The survey was open for 2 weeks and it garnered 1,000 responses. 850 were complete and 150 were partial. So this represents 13.6% of the Vermont WIC actively participating caseload. The survey included questions on telephone appointments, grocery shopping, and interest in online nutrition education. 22 respondents were less than 18 years old and were opted out of the rest of the survey. The remaining respondents were mostly 25 years and older, with 11% between 18 and 24 years old. 3/4 or 76% of respondents have participated in the WIC program for 1 year or more. About half of respondents, 48%, had recently had a WIC phone appointment. For most respondents, the phone appointment would have been during the COVID-19 pandemic, though a small proportion could have answered based on participation in the TeleWIC pilot from 2019 that was mentioned earlier. Almost all, 97%, agreed to strongly agreed with the statement, "I was satisfied with my most recent WIC appointment by telephone." Only a total of 4 respondents disagreed with the statement. None strongly disagreed with it. The most commonly selected reason to the question, what did you like about your WIC appointment by telephone, was that it was convenient, followed by easy to speak with WIC staff, and it saved time. In open comments, many reflected appreciating that phone appointments kept their families safe and helped them avoid any potential exposure to COVID-19. Just over half of respondents felt their appointment by phone was about the same as in-person appointment. 33% felt it was better. The survey also asked what could be done to improve telephone appointments. While most said nothing, some suggested responses fell into the following themes: add a video component, measurements to obtain measurements from doctors in advance, and flexible appointment times. Most respondents would like to continue to participate in appointments by telephone. More than half, 62%, would be interested in video appointments. The Vermont WIC program asked participants about interest in video appointments in our annual participant survey in August 2019. At that time, only 36% of respondents were interested. So that's jumped a great deal. Now I think that a lot of us are becoming more comfortable with virtual experiences. For those not interested in video appointments or unsure, 29% had poor or no internet connection, and 61% are not comfortable on camera. In open comment, themes included difficulty managing video with children present, unsure about using technology and concerns about security, and a preference for in-person appointments. Participant survey data show an overall positive response to WIC phone appointments via telephone. In addition to keeping families safe during COVID, families find them convenient and that is easy to speak with staff. A survey of local WIC staff administered in the same month corroborate these results, with 93% of staff reporting phone appointments are going very well or well. Staff expressed satisfaction for offering this appointment option, which is convenient and time-saving for families while keeping them safe at home. Kept rates for phone appointments are also better than in person. Kept appointment rates are at around 70% in April to June of this year, and were around 50% in the same time period in 2019. We saw similar results in our pilot last year. Because the requirements to obtain current anthropometric measurements and hematologic assessments, like anemia screenings, were also waived in this time. This information was typically not available to incorporate into the WIC appointment discussion. Having this information was reported as an area for improvement by both participants and staff. The WIC program is actively taking steps to systemize referral data from medical providers prior to WIC appointments. The next section of our survey asked participants about their experiences shopping during COVID. To help put these responses into perspective, we also wanted to share data from our most recent regular annual survey, which was administered in August of 2019. Challenges to grocery shopping for WIC foods in non-pandemic times exists. In our August 2019 survey, while 39% responded they do not have trouble finding any WIC foods, for those that have had challenges, the most common was being unable to find the correct size, followed by the correct brand. These reasons contribute to the next most common response, that the rules and restrictions are too complicated. Themes that emerged in the open comments include inadequate or non-existent shelf tagging, challenges with specific products, and WIC-approved products declining at the register due to system issues. Last fall, Vermont WIC submitted a proposal to the Johns Hopkins HIPRL opportunity to enhance the online and in-store shopping experience. The proposal included implementing WIC shelves in some store locations, which is grouping shelf-stable WIC items together to make them easier to find. It also included applying a WIC filter to an online shopping platform with one grocer partner. Applying the filter would show the shopper only WIC-approved items, essentially becoming a virtual WIC shelf. While we were not selected to receive funding, we have maintained conversations about these projects with grocer partners. And we are looking at future opportunities to continue exploring online ordering for WIC participants. These next results are from the from our recent COVID-19 survey. COVID-19 has impacted the way families are grocery shopping, including for WIC foods. Over half of respondents, 60%, reduced the number of trips to the store to avoid exposure, and almost half bought more than they usually would to avoid multiple trips. That said, several respondents noted in the open comment that shopping has not changed for them in response to the public health emergency. So these are the most difficult to find foods. About 1/3 of respondents reported not having trouble finding any WIC foods, which is a drop from 39% when the same question was asked in our annual participant survey from last August. Respondents in that survey represented a similar age distribution and length of time participating in WIC as this survey. The Vermont WIC program received federal waivers to the food categories of whole grains, eggs, milk, cheese, breakfast cereal, tofu, infant foods, and juice beyond what is typically allowed under current regulations to help make grocery shopping easier during COVID. The program used several mechanisms to inform families of these food list expansions, the most effective being a text message to our participants. 13% had not heard about the expansions. Just over 3/4 of respondents are satisfied with the foods currently available from WIC. When asked to rank 4 shopping supports that would help with WIC shopping, they were ranked in the following order: WIC orders done by grocery delivery services, WIC grocery orders called in or emailed to the store in advance, transactions done over the phone, including giving PIN to store staff, and helping find someone to shop for me. Several open comments of the ranking question noted they preferred to shop for themselves. Families are shopping less frequently. These food expansions have been well received by families. In April and May 2020, larger whole wheat bread sizes and whole wheat rolls added under federal waivers made up for 45% of whole wheat bread sales. For some expansions allowed under regulation without a federal waiver, these foods will remain to our families. For example, newly added shredded cheese, which made up 18% of total cheese sales, will remain as the state option after the waivers expire. Additional support such as online shopping and orders placed in advance would further improve the shopping experience. And again, something we're working at. Finally, we asked a couple of questions about live online nutrition education. The majority of online nutrition education is completed through wicchealth.org. Because we still want to connect live with families, even if only remotely, we have begun to transition some of our in-person group classes to an online format using Microsoft Teams, beginning with breastfeeding classes. We wanted to get a sense of interest in the format and times of days that work best for families, both now and in the future. 15% of respondents were interested. There weren't big differences between the 2 time periods, and we have since asked for additional feedback on these classes in our 2020 annual participant survey. that was completed this fall. Data from the annual participant survey is still being compiled and analyzed. If you're interested in viewing any of our WIC program reports or participant surveys, you can always find this information posted on the plans and reports page of our website. And finally, to close, just before we take questions, we thought it would be nice to end off with one more story from one of our WIC families.
I have 3 young children. I'm about to have my 4th in 4 years. My husband has really long hours, so it's usually just me and the kids, which can be a lot sometimes, but we do have fun. You know, we're always outside playing. I first started to participate in WIC when Vito was a newborn. They told me in the hospital that I could sign up for it. WIC provides us with extra groceries every month, which takes a little stress off of my husband and a little stress off of me. The milk helps a lot because they drink a lot of milk. The calcium, the fruits and the veggies. I've really grown outside my comfort zone to make more plant-based bean meals because we get lots of beans, and I think that's just opened up, you know, some more doors. We can use our local market right in town. They accept WIC, so that's nice. And you get to pick out the cereals, the different yogurts, like the brand that you want. It's just nice because I have those options to feed my children healthier food, which is something we're very passionate about. I just want them to have access to quality nutrition to help their bodies grow. So it's nice to have WIC to support us.
All right, and with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and Jackie and I can take any questions you might have.
Oh, Beth, I think you're muted.
So we can just ask, we don't have to use the chat.
Sure.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions. Do WIC participants have to buy everything on their list? You mentioned the fact that it's hard to accommodate vegan families, which I gather means that there are things that they're supposed to be buying that vegan families wouldn't be buying. But you know, if the milk, for example, can't be substituted, they can just not buy the milk, not get the milk?
That's correct. So I'll take this one, Serena. I think what she meant by not being able to accommodate them is we can't exchange like cheese, for example, for like a non-dairy cheese. But we do offer in the milk category soy milk.
Oh, okay.
So a vegan could choose that. They can get a little bit creative in some of the categories, but as Serena mentioned, it's more limited than it is with the 3 Squares where they have, you know, full choice. And the other point is WIC benefits don't roll over each month. So if they don't spend them in October, they get a brand new benefit in November, but their October benefits that they didn't use expired.
Okay, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Sure.
I also had another question.
Sure.
You know, I know a couple of families, and I don't know if they have WIC or not, but the parents have joint custody. If the parents have joint custody, how does WIC work for them? Are both parents, are each parent able to get to buy groceries, or how would that work?
So that is a great question. It does come up occasionally, and we ask families to work out that detail because if it's truly a 50-50 custody split, then we have no way to tell them who will get the card because there's only one WIC card.
Okay, got it.
So we ask families to work that out, which can get a little tricky. If there's an uneven split of custody, then we are able to allow the the custodial parent with the higher custodial number
Of course.
to have it. Yeah.
That makes total sense. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And if you don't feel comfortable saying your question out loud, you can certainly type it into the chat. I don't know how many of you have been around for a long time, so maybe you do know a lot about WIC, or you know, you're just starting to engage with this program.
I have a question.
Sure.
So you mentioned over the last couple of years a 10% increase in dual participation for WIC and 3Squares Vermont, and I'm wondering if you have ideas as to kind of what impacted that increase and strategies to keep increasing that percentage.
I could take a stab at this, Serena, and then you
Thank you.
can chime in if you think of anything else. So I believe we had a WIC summit a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2 years ago this October, and 3Squares, a lot of partners were at the table, but we had some really good discussions at that meeting. And one of the great items that came out of it was, I think Serena showed you that image of if a family either fills out an application or does it online, that the referral gets pushed to our central office. We saw a real large increase in referrals from the 3Squares or Reach Up application to WIC, and then we pushed those out to the local offices. The other, I had another thought, but it's gone, and I might think of it in a second. Can you think of anything else, Serena, that might have upticked that?
I can't.
Okay.
No, I think that was exactly what I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was a great meeting, and we had a lot of discussion. You know, we had a lot of work groups around the room, and people were just like brainstorming, like, how can we refer to you, and how can you refer to us, and oh, we do this and we do that. Okay, great. I mean, it just was a great meeting, and I think a lot of connections were made then.
Yes.
Hey there, this is Kate from Battenkill Valley Health Center. How are you guys today? Thanks so much for being here. I just wanted to share a quick story, a personal story that I think is another kind of reason and gives people reason to go to work every day. So about 20 years ago, I was a recipient of WIC for my 2 young children, and formed a relationship, as one of the participants had mentioned, missing out on during COVID times, but created a relationship with the nurse that met with myself and my children every 6 months to check weights and check in. And 20 years later, you know, I'm working at a health center helping participants that were in a similar situation as myself. And that nurse is actually a board member here. And so 20 years later, we've really come full circle in a sense that WIC was really the impetus to get my feet underneath me and to now give back to those programs that had helped me. But one of the things that we've noticed here at the health center, we added dental to our program about 3 years ago. And so being one of the only places here in Bennington County that still is accepting Medicaid patients, we had a young mother here about 1.5 years ago who was very nervous about coming to the health center and coming to the dental appointment because she hadn't been raised in a family where oral health care was important or valued. And so she showed up with her 2 young children. I think it was a 14-month-old and a 23-month-old. I think they were very close in age. And so we were saying, you know, you're in the first steps of doing something really big and really great for your children and breaking that cycle. And unfortunately, the hygienist had to share with her that the children both had extreme bottle rot because she had been putting her babies to sleep with apple juice. And so the hygienist was working through and recognizing that she was getting anxious about this and not wanting to offend her, but really educate her. And her response was, but WIC gave this to me. Isn't this good for my babies? And so at that moment, you know, our hygienist and the mom were both in tears. Mom ended up leaving the appointment feeling much better and re-encouraged her about she's making those first steps. So we reached out to the local WIC department here in Bennington County, and we worked together to really make sure that we were educating parents both on our end about healthy oral habits, but on their end that, you know, just because we're providing apple juice or these supplements doesn't mean that they're necessarily the healthiest for a baby or a child to go to sleep with. So it was really a neat opportunity for us to bridge that gap between the two of us, and it opened up. We've had many more partnerships between our health center here and Bennington Health Department. So just wanted to share those two stories of, you know, one that for full circle, and then also how we've been able to work together to educate families that are receiving WIC. So thank you guys for all you do to help us provide our patients with resources that they so desperately need.
Kate, thank you so much for sharing that. And you were on when it was home delivered. So you had it delivered right to your door. You didn't get any choice though. So it's that's one of the great things about WIC going EBT is there's a lot more choice for families. They don't just get it dumped at their door, whether they wanted it or not.
That's right. And one of the other relationships was the milkman who delivered. And I feel like I'm so aging myself.
No. I've been around since you were on, so I'm aging myself too. But I also wanted to mention that when you were on, we did provide juice at age 4 months. And we don't do that anymore. WIC does not provide juice until children turn 1 year old, just so you're aware of that change. And also another interesting nugget is the WIC food package gets reviewed every 10 years. And one of the latest recommendations, which isn't implemented yet and probably won't be for a little while due to the government, the way it's set up right now, is that the juice option would go away and there would be an increase in the fruit and vegetable benefit. So families could get fresh or frozen or canned fruits and vegetables instead. So, but thank you for sharing your story. Serena, did I cut you off? Were you going to share something?
No, I was just going to say thank you. That's such a great example of collaborating as community partners. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Any other questions? You have our full attention. Any other comments?
Well, we hope that you enjoyed the presentation and that you learned a lot more about WIC today.
And you can always reach out to us at WIC, either Serena or I directly if you would like to. It's our email addresses are just our first dot last names at vermont.gov. Or if you can't remember that, you can always send an email to wic@vermont.gov and they'll forward it on to us.
And I'm typing it in the chat box here.
Good, yes. And thank you, Serena.
Thank you so much, Jackie and Serena, and thank you all for being here. On the note of sharing emails, Hunger Free Vermont food security staff will share out the contact information for session hosts as well as roundtable hosts in a follow-up email. So keep your eye out for that. Just another thank you for joining us today. And looking ahead, coming up, we do have a break before our next round of sessions, which begins at 1 p.m. And that will be covering 3 Squares Vermont in a SNAP or 3SNAP, which was rolled out on October 1st. And then we'll close out the day and the entire conference with a session from 2:15 to 3:15, which just gives folks the option to gather and reflect and share questions. And just another reminder, you can find all of this information on Vermont Food Help, as well as Zoom links in your email. And another hearty thank you so much to Jackie and Serena.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all.